A cold wind swept through the busy streets of New York City, weaving between towering skyscrapers and hurried pedestrians. In the midst of the bustling crowd sat an old man, wrapped in tattered blankets, his weathered hands clutching a cardboard sign that read, "Not asking for much. Just a meal. God bless." His name was Thomas, but most people just called him, the beggar on Fifth Avenue. For years, he'd sat in the same spot, watching people pass by, their faces buried in their phones, lost in their own worlds. Some dropped coins into his cup without looking. Others turned away, pretending not to see him, but Thomas wasn't always a beggar. Once, he had been a man with dreams, a family, and a home. Life, however, had a way of unraveling. A series of misfortunes, his wife's illness, the loss of his job, and eventually, the foreclosure of his house, had left him on the streets. One evening, as the city lights flickered on, a young boy named Alex walked up to Thomas. He couldn't have been older than 10. Unlike the others, Alex didn't rush past or avoid eye contact. He stood there, studying Thomas with wide, curious eyes. "Why are you sitting here?" the boy asked innocently. Thomas sighed. "Because life doesn't always go the way we plan, kid." Alex thought for a moment, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a slightly crumpled $5 bill. "This is my allowance, but you need it more than I do." Thomas hesitated. He had received money before, but this was different. The boy wasn't just giving out of pity, he was giving from the heart. "Thank you," Thomas said, his voice thick with emotion. "But keep your money, kid. It's cold, go home to your family." The boy frowned, then lit up as an idea struck him. "Then, how about I bring you something better?" Before Thomas could respond, Alex ran off. 15 minutes later, he returned with a steaming hot dog, a bottle of water, and a small brown paper bag. "My mom says food is the best way to help someone," Alex said, handing Thomas the meal. Thomas took the food, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in years. But inside the brown paper bag, there was something else, a handwritten note that simply said, "You are important. You matter." Tears welled up in Thomas's eyes. He had spent years feeling invisible, like a ghost in the city. But at that moment, a 10-year-old boy had made him feel seen. That night, as he ate the meal, something shifted inside him. He looked at the sign he had been holding for so long and flipped it over. With a borrowed marker, he wrote new words, "Looking for work. Will do anything to get back on my feet." The next day, something incredible happened. A man in a suit stopped, read Thomas's new sign, and struck up a conversation. He owned a small cafe and needed an extra pair of hands. It wasn't much, but it was a start. With the money he earned, Thomas bought new clothes, cleaned himself up, and, little by little, rebuilt his life. Months later, he had a stable job, a small apartment, and something he thought he had lost forever, hope. One day, as he walked through the same street where he had once begged, he spotted a familiar face. "Alex." "Hey, kid." Thomas called out. Alex turned, surprised. "Whoa. You're different." Thomas grinned. "And it's all because of you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a crisp $5 bill. "This belongs to you," Thomas said. "And I want you to know, you were right. I do matter. And so do you." Alex beamed as he took the money, not realizing that he had given Thomas something far more valuable, belief in himself.